Yeah, so I was able to observe and kind of be a bystander, but now I actually get to participate
Yay!
today.
I'm so excited. Jill, Amberly are kind of like Daphne and me in the sense that we're friends, but we've never met. And then I didn't meet Daphne until March of this year. We had never actually been in the same room with each other. So yeah. So yeah, she used to help me out a lot with my business when it was really going haywire and growing.
Cool.
Yeah, so, and she's got 3 little ones.
Nice. I've got three mid-size.
Well, I've got 3 older stepsons, 21, soon to be 20, 18. Wow. And then we've got 3 little ones, 6, soon to be 7 in September, a 4-year-old, and soon to be 2-year-old in September.
Wow.
So we kind of like have our big ones and our little ones.
Yes. Yeah. That's wow. Did your 18-year-old already graduate?
Yes, he graduated for this past couple months.
Nice. Good deal. I have a 14, a 12, and a 10.
Oh yeah, you're definitely like right there in the mids.
That mid-size. Yep. It matches our vehicle.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
We're all older. My youngest is going to be 20 soon. And my eldest is going to be 27. I can't believe it. So I don't have any little ones anymore, and when you guys, I think it was a week ago, everyone was sharing about homeschooling and, where people are with that. And Tatiana had been on and she was sharing about, she's now made that into a part of her business. It just made me like happily reminisce about those years with my kids because they really were the best years. I mean, if I want to go, I always say, like, if I could have a day with my kid when they were newborn, when they were a year, when they were 2, like that. Yes. But if I could go back and live a period of time again, I would choose when they were all at the homeschool table because it was great. Hey, Hope, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Amberly is
listening.
Oh, you're just listening to me?
No, I was saying it was so fun to listen to you talk about your kids. And I can't believe how old they are because then that makes me feel really old.
I know. Ditto. I feel really old. So, I mean, it's all good memories though. And
oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any regrets about that part. It was hard work, it's a lot of work, but it was worth it. So, and Hope, this is Amberly. It is her second time on, but the first time she's on video.
Gotcha. Hello.
Hi, Hope.
So usually on Thursdays, so Tuesdays and Thursdays are the 2 days during the week when we meet like this. Tuesdays is usually a training. This week's Tuesday was more of a discussion, I think. And I just threw out a question, basically talking about, do you know who your ideal customer is? So think about how you would explain your business in a sentence 2 or 3 to somebody else in a way they could understand. Because it's harder than you think it is. Like, and I've been doing this for so long that even I have trouble with it. But now now there are these 2, actually I have 3, but now there are 2 main businesses. And people ask me what I do, and that like a deer in the headlights, I don't even know what to tell them, because even though these two are actually, all 3 are linked, like in the same industry. This is a coaching. The other 2 are the doing. So, so I was confronted with that question a couple of weeks ago. Where was I? I don't even remember where I was. And it was a gentleman, it was an older gentleman, and he and I were just talking. Oh, I was walking the dog. It was just out back here. And he was asking about the dog and all this, and and he wasn't creepy. So I wasn't uncomfortable telling him, no, I do work from home. And he asked what I do. And I was just like totally butchered it. I was like, and then I walked away. I'm like, I don't even understand what I told him. I wouldn't expect him to. And so I just encouraged everyone for this week until Tuesday to kind of go through and brainstorm how they would, in just, 25 words or less, how they would sort of tell people what it is they do, their elevator speech. And then we were going to talk about 7 ways to attract your ideal customer using that premise, your individual premise. And we'll do that on Tuesday. But it was interesting. And then Mike shared something, and it did get posted in the Market U VIP group, which you're a part of, Amberly. So you can go and look at, he posted something. Well, I posted it for him from Simon Sinek about what is your why, I think it's called. It's really
Yeah,
good.
I actually watched that, and it was really good.
Yeah, it was good, right?
Yes, it was very powerful. It really made me start thinking, and I'm like, and I even told Joshua about it. I'm like, you gotta watch this. And I was like, this is powerful.
Yeah, it's really good. And so so we're going to kind of jump back into that on Tuesday during the VIPs, because the VIPs are more training and these are more networking. Although I did actually want to just ask you where you felt, if you were where you felt you needed to be in terms of promoting your business or making people aware that your business exists, and they might, forming an attraction through your social media platforms. Is it, do you have a page that you use? Do you use your personal and your page? Do you do neither? This is something I struggle with, actually, because I'm like, I have so many balls in the air right now that social media my own social media tends to fall to the wayside. Like, I will post about what I do in other groups that I'm part of in Facebook. If a question's asked, I'll answer it, right? And I think that's how you and I met, Amberly, was through something like that.
Yeah, it was through a women's entrepreneur networking group.
Exactly. And we connected through there. And so I've been doing some of that. I'm careful about what groups I post in now, because I found that a lot of people from the training that Daphne and I are met through are also in there. And we're trying to kind of keep our business separate, not hidden, but, separate, because this isn't it's connected because we have the skills, but this is the coaching side. And so we're just a little more private about it right now. And so I'm careful about what I post and what questions I answer. But I was wondering if you guys are doing any of that, sort of what you're posting on your pages as opposed to your personal, as opposed to groups, or if it's something you thought about, because it is time consuming. I understand that. And I'm not the best example of that, because it tends to fall to the bottom of my list. And it really shouldn't. But I don't know whether you have anything you want to share about how you do that, or how often, or things that you find intimidating about it, because I sometimes find it intimidating, which seems ironic because I can get up and talk in front of a room of people, but you put me on social media and I get all tongue-tied. So I don't know. I'll just leave it open. I'd love to hear, like, Hope and Amberly, and like how do you use social media for your business now?
I use social media mostly. I mean, I used to be on Facebook a whole lot more personally. I have a personal Facebook page, but I find I just don't post as much as I used to. And I don't really, I think partly because it's changed so much since when I first got on it. It's become super political or super, I don't know, catty. And I just, so I just really stopped a lot of my posting. I then kind of started I would post on my social media for Hope's Caramels. And then sometimes I would share that to my personal page. But then I thought, ugh, do people get tired of seeing that? I don't know. That's just, where my head goes. I'm terrible at posting. I'm good when I do it, but I'm terrible after I've done it. So like I'll post, so like I posted last week and I was like, oh yay, this is great, for what we're doing for July, our events and all of that. Then it's like crickets. Because I think part of it is finding pictures and finding things that I don't really have. I mean, I can post like I use Canva a lot now. I'm telling you, it's like the miracle app. I use it a lot, but I still want to be able to use my own pictures, but I just don't have a lot. And I don't necessarily want to use somebody else's. I'd like to use my own, but then that's just another step in the process for me is, okay, so I'm ready to sit down and I'm working on it. I'm like, oh, it'd be a great thing to have on here. And then I'm like, but I don't have a picture of that. And so then I find myself switching and changing. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to talk about that. I'll have to get a picture done of that later. And then that later never comes. Or like last week, or was it this week? I've lost track of my weeks. Brady and I were doing a beer fest or something in October. So we've talked about doing like a flight of caramels, using different. And so I wanted to do kind of like hey, which of these would you like? So I was so excited. It looked like I found something on Canva that I could use. I'm like, this is perfect. I even thought I'll do the 30-day Canva Pro and it'll let me do all this. And I was so excited, posted it. And then somebody messaged me and it's like, so you can't move the numbers at the bottom. And I was like, what? It's like, yeah, but if you want to do a poll, you can do X. And I'm like, I want to be able to rank them. Like I want people to be able to rank their responses. So I need to fix that, but I haven't because I don't know what to do. So that's where, I'm good when I post and I'm getting really excited. And then stuff like this happens. And then I find myself going, maybe I should just stick with simple or nothing. So, and that tends to be what I do. It's because I spent so much time researching and trying to figure out how to do this whole ranking order thing for social media. And then it didn't even work out. Okay, I mean, I spent hours.
That to me, I'm not sure I know what you're talking about with the ranking thing.
So what I want people to do is to be able to say, yeah, say, what's your favorite candy bar, right? Usually that's what you do. If you had to choose from these candy bars, how would you rank them as your most favorite to your least favorite?
Okay.
And so, you give them 6 options and then they can say, okay, number 1, and you want it to be a little bit more interactive, kind of like the polls that, you get on Instagram and you can click yes. And then it shows. I thought I found something that would work, but then it didn't. And so when that happens, I kind of get that deer in a headlights kind of feeling. And then it's still on there. It's pointless because it's not interactive like I thought it was going to be. And nobody I think I had like 3 or 4 people that commented, but that was it, because I think people were like, what am I supposed to do with that? So yeah, so it's just,
I've never done that I've never done an interactive post, although now you're talking about it, I'm like, That'd be a really cool thing to figure out. Maybe I'll work on that and see if I can figure it out and use it to post something in the small business marketing group and maybe just attach a Loom video. And then you can go ahead and you guys can all go and watch that and be like, oh, that's how it works. Cause I actually have never done that.
Yeah, I mean, I spend so much time, like, I'm like Googling and how do you do this? And I must have like typed in, I don't even know how many Google searches because I'm trying to find the right terminology. Because I kept finding surveys, I kept finding polls, but the surveys were more, it was more, what did they call them? This or that, or they called them, what was the other one? Just like your question poll, like yes or no, you have the choice between this or this, and that was it. So I can do that on Instagram. You can actually create where you can list, you know, however many things you want, but they can only choose one thing. And I really want it to be able to like see what eventually would be like the top 3 instead of people having to post it down in the comments, because I know a lot of times that's just one extra step. But if you can be like 1, 2, 3, yep, that's what I want. I don't know. So I find for me with social media, there are certain things that I want to be able to do. And if it doesn't work out or I can't figure it out, especially after I've spent as much time as I do, and I was so excited and I posted it, then I'm kind of like, ugh. And so then it's quiet on my social media for a while because I'm so frustrated.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to look into that because I actually want to know how to do that myself. Do you happen to know that if you post it on Instagram, will it carry over to your Facebook in that form or no? Okay, I'll look into that.
I know.
I have no idea.
With Facebook, I think it's more of a poll. Like it's like a yes or no, which you could do like salted caramel versus regular caramel, and then kind of do like a process of elimination. I think the route you want to go when it comes to like a survey type of aspect is where you would put a link in the bio, or you have these questions and then click on the link and then it'll lead them to another outer page, kind of like a Google form in a way. And then you can kind of get that Excel sheet that will show you so many responded. This is how many like caramel. This is how many like salted caramel, chocolate caramel. I don't know what your flavors are, but I'm just, throwing it out there. So I think like the poll is like that quick fix that we were talking about, like just a real quick snippet of give me a yes or no. And do you like it? Do you not like it? And then you can peg it like, I'm going to give my 2 highest ranking flavors. Tell me what you like. Something to that effect is how the polls kind of work. But to get like more in depth, I've seen some companies post like survey style, like click the link and you answer like maybe 3 questions. But to get the surveys, what I've seen is where they do a promo, like get this free product by taking our survey. And they have to answer those questions. Like, I know it sounds like clickbait. Is that what it's called? Like you click on this one to get this one. And like people will sign up for free stuff. Like I always tell my husband, if you feed them, they will come. That's for our children. But it applies. Like it applies. There's free food involved. You have a line. Like no joke. So if you have maybe a sample or something like that, to just kind of like, let me know about your favorite caramel and maybe you'll have a surprise in the mail. And it could be one of those, you pick somebody and you ship them a free item from your products, So those are potentials that we can use on social media to our benefit. That way we can see where we're at, how people feel, what's the response. So it can, like I said, the polls is like the quick fix, and we've used it before for Plexus because that's what I sell. And so we'll always say like, what flavor do you like? The black cherry lime? Do you like the lemon strawberry? And so do you like active? Do you like triplex? Do you like, so different products just so we can kind of gauge what our audience is more seeking out at that time that they're looking for a product. So
I know you can do that, but I've also seen the ones where you get a percentage of responses. And I think that's the one you're looking for, right, Hope? Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
well, yeah, because we're trying to figure out, these would be like new flavors
Right.
that we would include. So it's not stuff we already have. It's
Right.
stuff that like, would you want to see a margarita caramel? Would you want to see a stout caramel? Would you want to see, like ranking that way, so that when we do the beer fest, then we kind of go already with
Something
a better
that would-
idea that we know
Okay.
people would prefer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look into that, because I think Jill's right. Like, there are a million ways to do a survey, right? And sometimes it will require that they sort of click off the page. I know that when I'm scrolling through Facebook, I don't always want to leave to go do something else. And if it's easy for me to just push something on there, that instant, response, I understand why that's so important. So let me look into this, because I've seen those a lot, and I've often wondered how they were doing them, but I've never actually created one myself. And maybe it's easier than we think it is. Like, that's what I'm kind of hoping is,
I kind of feel like I have made it harder than it really is. That, I mean, in my head, after the time that I spent on it, I looked at Brady and I was like, okay, seriously, it has got to be easier than what it is that I just, like, all the hoops I just jumped through to get to where, for the little bit that I ended up with, that doesn't even work. I mean, it was like, and that's the other thing. If I struggle trying to figure it out, I keep working on that one thing until I know, like, some people, they have a hard time getting started. Some people have a hard time finishing. My issue is in the middle. I get caught up with all the smaller stuff to get to the end product. And then sometimes that end product is like, yeah.
Okay.
So I waste so much time, and then I'm like, I can't post for another week. It's just too much work.
Maggie, would it be possible to share my screen?
Absolutely. Let me adjust the settings. Hang on.
You can get this here.
Okay, there we go. While she's finding that, yeah, Hope, I understand the pain is real, right? And sometimes that's how it works with me too. I have an idea of what I want to do, and when I am trying to figure it out and get it done, I'll hit roadblocks, right? And
Yeah.
so instead of it sort of helping, I walk away from it because I find it frustrating. So I do understand that. Okay.
So I don't know if you can see on my screen. You're going to go into, I'm going to discard this really quick so that you can kind of see it. So in your Facebook, and I'm going like through the screen itself, it's kind of easier on the phone. I'm just going to use this here so we can have a platform. If you go to create your story, you click on that plus sign and you can upload a photo. Okay. And so for Hope or anybody else wanting to do this, it could be whatever your product is, and you can put the photo back there. I'm going to just create a text story, and I'm going to label it question time. And then put that, and then you have a feature on, it says something like, let me see, we can make it fancy, we can make it simple. There is a feature on here that says, create a question or ask me a question. And then on the question you put, you can put your question, what is your favorite caramel flavor? Or would anybody be interested in a margarita lime caramel? And then you'll get responses like, "Ooh, I would like to try it. I can sample it." Things like that. I'm going to see if I can move this over really quick so I can find that feature.
Is
But
it a little gear icon?
I'm trying to. No, that one's for the who can see it. Because I know on my phone, it pops up. That's what's like really.
So maybe this is something that's better on mobile.
Yeah, that's what's like on your phone. It'll give you a little bit more to add to your post, where you can ask the question, and it's like a question feature time. And so you add the question, you create it here, and people will respond. The people will answer you back. Some people will use this feature as like, hey, what do you want to know about me? Ask me a question. which I never do that, but other braver people than I will, will put that feature out there, and they'll, and then of course, like this is more like you can put your background however you want it. But the features on the phone, like I said, offer just a little bit more. I'm not too sure why this one is not showing me that. And I want to just sign on from my phone right now, just so I can show you. But on the phone feature, it'll tell you to ask a question. You ask your question on top. People can answer you on that story reel or your, because I believe it's that story reel they call it. And you can see what's coming in at that time to say like, well, I've gotten this question more, or I've gotten this flavor request more than this flavor request. So I don't know if that kind of helps.
Okay.
Yeah. But I know, like I said, on my phone, I've been able to do that. I just don't know why on this.
I've never even created a story. I don't know why,
Oh.
but I've never done that. So
I've done it on Instagram, but not on Facebook.
On Facebook. Yeah. The stories are really neat because they're just like, and like right up here, you can click on them and I'll show you these that are coming up. They're like really quick. They're just a couple second videos. She's posting that, posting her book. They're just, and you can keep flipping through them, posting what her lunch is. Again, her son's toy, dishes, just they're quick stories and they don't last. And then you can click on them and you can respond to them. So that's why, depending on what right here, you can have these reactions on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can reply to the story. So when you have that question pop up and somebody sees that question right here, they can tell you how they feel. I can send her a quick happy birthday, Judah. And she'll get that in her messenger. That's where this goes. That's the cool thing about that.
Yeah. So Instagram is very much like that. Instagram does the same. So that's where I got some of the people who responded.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just would be nice to be able to have it in one, because I have to go through each person's response instead of it going into one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Into one area or one file or, whatever.
Yeah. So I know with like, if it's the caramel page and you create your storyline, it'll go directly to your messenger, which is, I think, a great filter. That way, like nobody else is getting it, or you don't know where the responses are going. And then you can kind of see like who responded. But like you said, it would create a conversation with just Polly or just Anna and not the direct, like the way you want it. So I can see some of the.
Yeah, but still, that's a great thing, even if it's just to get people to, like, to me, that would be a great thing to do when I'm kind of mind logged, brain logged, and I can't, I could just be like, oh, hey, get some interaction on my page. What are you up to today? This is what I'm doing, or
that's true, because you could film yourself at some of these events, it could be kind of you in the background turning so people can see all the other vendors and, oh, look, here's my booth, and then people can make more of a connection with you. What if we had, more, because we've handed out a social media calendar for everybody to follow, but of course it's not like ideas for like how to actually make these posts. And I think it would be really interesting to get his point of view on this, because we all have sort of our, bag of tricks, right? But because we do these things the way we do them, sometimes we don't think about other people and how they would do it if they had our product. So that would be really cool if we could have a list like that and just share it, because new ideas, like, you never know. And there might be something on there that Hope or Tatiana or Amberly or myself or you could kind of pull and then just make a little tweak to it, make it our own, but it works, and it helps us in those moments where we are like deer in the headlights and frustrated because we had this idea of what we want to post. And now we're like, I'm walking away. This was too frustrating. So now nobody hears anything about, Market You today, because I'm all like, whatever, I can't do it. So maybe that would be really cool, like to have something like that. I would love to hear more about how he sort of, the thought process is and and how he thinks about how these photos can be used or repurposed later.
Yeah, and he uses his phone, and I'm just like, is that the same picture? Like, I always feel like mine looks so like wonky and like grainy, and his are like fabulous, and I'm like,
It might be
wait.
his videos. It might be his photo settings because you can set it for certain things. But I mean, cameras on phones. I was telling my son this the other day. I was like, you almost don't need, there are very few circumstances where you would need to carry a camera around now.
Yeah,
If I were going on vacation, I wouldn't have a camera in my phone. I would just
right,
have my phone because the
right.
photos are so good, right?
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
it's just how we use, our
right.
camera on our phone to capture things that we can then use to engage with others.
Definitely. Yeah.
So I totally get that, Hope. And the funny thing is, I think even people who have, you go to their pages or, their personal page or their business page, and they've got this whole theme going, they started probably in the same place, right? Where they're kind of like searching for things. I think the difference is they get into this groove once they're more comfortable with it. And it's like anything else, right? It's like muscles. The more you use them, the stronger they become. And so I totally understand what you're talking about because I feel the same way sometimes. So yeah, I think social media has really changed over the last 10 years. It's almost night and day, not just that we have different platforms at our disposal, but the platforms that we were using have evolved on the technological side, but they've also evolved on the user side. And some of those things are good and some of those things aren't. And, I think more than ever, now when we're posting something, like we even have to be careful about what we're joking about, because all of a sudden things that weren't negative are now perceived as negative, even though that's not our intent. And I think that causes people to kind of pull back a little bit too, because they never want their brand, obviously, to be associated with something that the outside world might misconstrue. And then there's a part of me that's like, if it's true and I can defend it, then I shouldn't worry so much about it. But then again, it's my business. So, like you got to find your happy space there. And I think that has also become so much more difficult for business owners, that even joking around about something, it's like nothing is safe anymore. Yeah. And I think it's become a very different place. Yeah. And then there are platforms like TikTok that I'm trying to understand. I actually had a TikTok, and then about 6 months ago deleted it. I was only on there for 7 days, and literally on the 7th day, it wasn't that I couldn't understand what people were posting. It was the stitching, and then sometimes even the comments didn't make sense. Like with the video, I'm like, how do people know? It's like a foreign language. I don't even know how to do this. And then for some reason, my algorithm kept showing me people who were talking about all their personal issues. And I'm like, I don't want to hear about all their personal issues. And so I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I'm out. But about a week and a half ago, I created a new account and got back on. And I haven't posted anything myself, but I've been viewing it as research rather than social media. And so I'm just kind of storing up ideas, but I'm not quite ready to, post anything yet. But, and that's a whole new language almost. TikTok doesn't function the same way as we had been using Facebook and Instagram. I mean, Instagram, now we've got stories, right? Facebook, we've got stories, and there is kind of a connection here, but TikTok's only stories. Like, it's only that. And that I find intimidating. So does your husband, Jill, do TikTok as well? He does, right? Yeah, that would be really cool to hear more about how he uses TikTok.
He does, and he's really, like I said, he does. He created a video for Ben and Daphne, and he just spent the whole day following Ben. And he did work with Ben also. It wasn't just like, hey, I'm shooting the breeze. But it was just like on a tractor, hammering something over here, cleaning a part over here. And then he puts like all this stuff on it. And I'm like, I said, when I called, you said you were doing nothing. And I'm like, you look at this video and it's like this whole production. And I'm like, that is really cool. He did one with the kids riding bikes. And it terrified me because he took them to some track and there was like this dip. And then he would go slow-mo on the video. And of course, adding the music and adding, you see the kids going down this dip in slow motion and their facial expressions coming alive. And I'm like, was this even safe? And he goes, yes, you're just being dramatic. I was like, this is why I don't go with you anymore. But, he can do some of those features. And like, again, TikTok has where you can like clip it, snip it, and just show the most important the important things that you would want highlighted. And then that way, again, you're giving some of it away, but not all of it away. If that makes sense.
That's cool because I'm thinking about, of course, we've talked a lot about Hope's stuff today. I'm sorry. This is where I am in my brain right now, but that would be really cool to use when you're making your caramels, like step by step, like go to the store, do this, melt the butter, like all the things. I don't even know if you melt butter, but anyways, all the things that you have to do to get to the end product that's wrapped, right? That would be really cool. How about you, Amberly?
Well, I'm kind of not a really good example of social media right now. We're redefining goals and redefining kind of the direction and stuff that we're going. So I have kind of been on a no social media kind of hiatus type deal. So I haven't been really doing much with social media. And so my husband, Joshua, he does a lot more with social media than I do, but I have not, I've kind of enjoyed my break away from the stress and the busyness of trying to keep up with social media and all the platforms.
No, I understand that. Yeah. Well, you're at a phase in your life right now where it's harder, right? And if you're changing directions, I especially understand that one. So yeah, I totally get that. Do you have a new page already set up for the direction you're going?
No, not yet. We're still kind of deciding. So I'm just we're at a standstill of brainstorming and thought processing. We thought we were heading in a direction, but then it's like, nope, we need a pivot. That's not the direction we need to go in. So we're still kind of brainstorming and figuring out what we want to do, how we want to do it to align with our goals as a family. And so it's kind of definitely been a little bit challenging, especially because I'm not the one that just wants to be complacent. It's like, I need a project. I need to be doing something. I need to be working on something. So, but I guess my biggest project right now is just kind of contributing to brainstorming and ideas on figuring out what direction to go while being mommy.
Yeah. I get that. How about you, Tatiana? How do you use social media right now for your businesses? Well, I know you have 3. Maybe, I don't know which one you want to share. I'll let you share.
Yeah, we're just using social media for our homeschool business. That's the only one that we're using it so far for. We don't use Facebook. We were doing really well on Facebook about 2 years ago. But then it was a decision that my business partner and I made as we took ourselves out of Facebook. We actually moved our presence from Facebook onto a different platform. So we do have a Facebook page. It occasionally, we have a VA that occasionally will post something on there, but we're definitely not active on Facebook. It's just, we've completely removed ourselves from it. We do use Instagram. We use Instagram a lot, especially during our conference seasons. So we're kind of on a hiatus right now. There's no conference, but we do have a new product that we're launching next month. So that we're gonna, and we tend to, we kind of revamp depending on the theme of our conference. We kind of revamp social media and to kind of match the theme that we're going with. So we're getting ready to redo all of that. So what we do is we actually completely clear out, archive every post on Instagram, and we do it all over again. That's worked really well for us because it seems like every time we pull all the content and we start going back into Instagram, we get a bunch of, hi, sorry, do you need to use the room? I'm sorry, ladies. Oh, no, I don't, I'll move out. Sorry, ladies, I'm gonna move out of the room. I'm not, do you wanna get back to me in like 5 minutes?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
That's interesting. That's really interesting to hear that she's not using Facebook as much. I guess, maybe that goes back to what we were talking about, how these platforms have evolved over the last 10 years. And some places aren't as friendly to things anymore. You don't get the same traffic anymore.
Well, I also think that they ended up changing like the algorithm stuff.
They did.
So you kind of have to know what the algorithm looks like. And if you don't really know what it is or can't seem to navigate that, then you find yourself, you're constantly going to the bottom of the pile rather than being able to stay at the top.
Yeah, no, that's
and it was
absolutely right.
Especially with businesses. It seemed like when I first was on Facebook with my business, it was like, oh my gosh, constant. But then I don't even know how many years ago they started to change that. And it was only people that liked your page would see your stuff, but nobody, unless I placed an ad or, whatever, boosted it or, and even then it didn't seem like it did that well. So it's just, and I think that to me has probably been the most frustrating thing with Facebook is like, can't you just leave?
No, you're absolutely right. They've kind of taken back the control from you. And so the platform was very open for a long time, and anyone could come on there and kind of find content from like a huge amount of different people, whether they were influencers or just people with small businesses or whatever. And they did change the algorithm. They've done it a few times. And so they did it deliberately because, one, they were looking to monetize the platform more. This was a goal of theirs to kind of switch things to ads and boosts as opposed to just organic. And so many people have figured out the algorithm and were teaching courses on it. And then Facebook realized, okay, all these people already know how to manipulate this. We're going to do a rehaul. And so they do. I mean, and they don't do big ones like they've done, but they also do little ones. Like they'll tweak little things, and the platform's not organic friendly anymore at all. It's not some place that you can go on and necessarily rank yourself, because they do give preferential treatment to people who spend a lot of money, right? Like they are going to do that. And it's probably in their terms of service, like that. I'm sure it's there somewhere, but who reads all of those, right? You only know because of your personal experience with the platform. Google's the same way. I mean, they are the same way. Now, Google, I will say, is a little friendlier for organic traffic because you can, and as we've been kind of showing you step by step, the past few months, you can rank yourself on Google, but people will still choose ads because it's the only way they can get near page one, right? Because they don't understand all of it, or Google's changed something a little bit and what they were doing isn't working anymore. But Google still favors organic. Facebook no longer favors organic. So, yeah.
And the target audience, that's the other thing I was gonna say. The target audience for each platform is different. So I feel like an older generation, and when I say older, I'm included in that one too, but I feel like an older generation finds Facebook to be a little bit more easy access or accessible, especially now that you can pay through Messenger as well. So you'll see that for the Facebook platform, it is a little bit older. In the Instagram, You have maybe a mid to young generation. You're looking at anybody from like 20 to like late 30s, even in the 40s. You can still use it, but I still feel like when it comes, like I have some family members that are like, I'm not gonna post a picture. I'm not gonna, things like that, which is fine. I mean, if you want to, so it just depends. And then TikTok goes even younger. I'm talking like all my junior high students are on it. My high school students are on it. They're like, Miss, do you have a TikTok? I was like, I don't even have time to like, do anything else, let alone post a TikTok right now about my life. So that's why I tell you, your platforms will get you like the audience, that you're trying to seek. So when it comes to your product, whoever you're trying to advertise to, if you're trying to advertise to all masses, then yes, post on every single media platform that you can. And that way your feedback will be, but that's why you have to ask that question, who am I trying to reach and who is this product for? If this product is for everyone, then you're going to just have to put it out there, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's on Instagram, or whether it's on Facebook. But if you're not really like, well, my product is more geared towards this type of okay, then just put it on that platform. Or, I'm looking for more on this side. Well, then put it on that platform. But that's why it doesn't hurt to kind of like know who your target audience is and where you see them most active. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I always say know your product. That way, you know what people you're trying to reach on that aspect, so you can be on the right platform for your business.
Yeah, and that kind of circles back to what we were talking about for those of you that were on the VIP on Tuesday, that will be continued in full on the VIP next week, is that we're talking about the 7 ways to attract your ideal customer. And one of those things is knowing your platforms, definitely. So we will come back to that. Sorry, you got cut off, Tatiana. Go ahead.
That's okay. That's okay. And just to piggyback on what Jill was saying, we found a part of our move from out of Facebook was because we really saw that our audience was on Instagram. And as we're growing, we see that more and more of our audience is on TikTok. So it's a transition that we're gonna have to make. It's gonna have to be done soon. And I'm terrified of TikTok because I see all the young kids on it, and it seems like it's so much. But it's something that we're exploring for our next conference season. Just more TikTok, definitely more Instagram. We use a lot of Instagram stories. We have some pre-made templates that on Canva that we just kind of recycle and change and update, and that's what we do. That's what you saw. A lot of our posts on Instagram are mostly on stories, but like I was saying before, it's every time we completely clear out the account and we start putting brand new content, and it seems like, oh, we only have like 3 or 4 posts, we get all these new followers. It's just like all this new engagement, new followers. It's kind of like it's just like a brand new cycle of followers. With Facebook, it's been stagnant. It's been stagnant for the last 4 years, and I've done all those Facebook growth courses. I've paid like the $2,000 courses for Facebook, and it's worked for some people. It hasn't worked for us specifically, but and that's when we're on Instagram. That's our main focus.
That's really interesting. And that kind of circles me back to TikTok and what you were saying about TikTok. I think I was in some sort of, like I said, weird algorithm the first time around, but the second time around, I have seen a lot of people my age on there. Like my feed is filled with people who are my age. We may not believe the same things or understand, but I think that even in the last 6 months has exploded. People are exiting from these other platforms and jumping into TikTok because it's kind of this evolving place. And TikTok, and I haven't figured out the algorithm. Like I said, I've only been on there a week and a half now, so I haven't really figured it out. But even though some of the things that I like or people I follow they're not the same people that show up in my feed sometimes. And so I find that really interesting too. Like they're constantly presenting you with new people and new videos, even if they don't necessarily match your profile, like your ideal. But I find that interesting too, because so often on these other platforms, you choose a few things, few topics that you like, and those become everything you see. And that's not been so on TikTok. And so, and like I said, I've only been on a week and a half, but I've really been working to try to figure out how it operates and how I can kind of see where my business and myself would fit in, and trying to experiment. Okay, well, I think I have to start my personal first so I can understand the engagement. Maybe then I can transfer, you know, a lot of things over to business as well. It's a very different platform than Instagram. Yeah, it's been really interesting. And, you know, as I try to grow that, because I am, you know, TikTok virgin over here, basically, I'm going to try to share things with the group, because I think this platform that a lot of us have been resisting is only growing. And I understand the resistance, like I do, because I'm one of the resistors. But it's an untapped market for a lot of things. And I think because it's not super saturated yet with everybody competing, and because the way the platform works, it's just a very interesting growing social media opportunity. And I think for me to continue to let it go untapped and not learn about it is almost like losing business, because I'm missing all these opportunities because I'm resistant to being, you know, on TikTok. But I don't feel quite the same way the second time around with it. And I don't know whether the platform's kind of itself evolved. And I am seeing older people like myself. And yes, Jill, you know, I do love myself with the older people because I am old, but I see more people of my generation on there. And for me, that's actually reassuring, because then part of my fear with TikTok was getting in front of such a young audience that wouldn't even be able to connect with where I am and what I do. But it's changed. And so
I don't want to be found. That was my thing. I was like, for social media and being a teacher, I was like, no, you don't need to follow me.
And you're in a different place, because you do have where you are now with your work. You're in an environment where it wouldn't be beneficial for you.
We're just going to bite the bullet and we're going to jump in, just like you said, Maggie. And maybe we don't know, or it does feel intimidating and I think that's the word. It feels intimidating. It feels like I thought like I knew things. And then you get into something like this and you're like, maybe I don't, you know, it's just that reality we're in, but you're right. It's hard.
Yeah. So I'm interested to hear about how you use TikTok, Tatiana, because that would be really interesting for us to go and kind of see how you're using it, and how much success you have with it, and I'll do the same vice versa, because I think that's how we figure some of these things out. Now, Tatiana, you weren't on the beginning I don't think you were on when Hope was sharing about trying to create a poll on Facebook. You know, there are still things that, even though I've been on Facebook since 2008, I don't know how to do, right? Like, and so I guess with TikTok, what I'm trying to do is, instead of using it as a way to kind of share things, I'm using it as a way to figure it out. So I'll try to stay on top of all of those things as I go along. And I'd love to hear how you use it and what you find out too.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted. I've seen a lot of other people that are, you know, with similar businesses to mine in my same area that are using it, and it's going really well for them. And it's been kind of like what Jill was saying, is like, I just need to bite the bullet and just go,
Yeah.
because I don't want to be found either, but
Yeah.
I do have this business that needs to grow, you
Yeah.
know, so it's just something that I'm gonna have to jump into. And I
Yeah.
stayed away for so long because, you know, I have teenagers. I have, you know, 4 teenagers. And it's like, oh, and that's their platform. You know, it's what they use, is what their friends are on. And, you know, I'm like, oh, we're making a TikTok, mom. And it's like, I didn't even want to download it for the longest time. It wouldn't even have it on my phone. And then I saw my mom download it and I was like, all right, mom's on it. I'm just gonna do it.
And I think that's what's happened. It switched from this preteen, teen, very young adult only, and it's evolved. Like, it's only gotten older and older. And so I did feel that even 6 months ago, that I was like this old person on there. Now I don't feel like that anymore. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see how this kind of moves forward. And I didn't like it on my phone. That's why I didn't download it 6 months ago. I'm like, why would I want to be on here? My kids are on here. Like, the last thing they want to see when they're scrolling through is their mom, you know, not like I'm embarrassing them, but also like that's not what they want. You know, it is their platform. That's how I felt about it too. But I'm missing business opportunities, I think. Massive.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing that. I'm seeing and people that I've worked with as speakers for one of our conferences. I mean, they were making tons of money, and that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm leaving money on the table by not jumping on to something that's so easily accessible. It's on my phone. It's free. Yeah, and I'm just seeing them blow up, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to do it. So listening to what Jill was saying about, you know, the ideas, and like what her husband was saying, it was like the label, the paper, whatever it was. I got to get on that mindset and just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jill, I would love if he could, you know, if he'd be willing to share. I mean, you know, even come on if he's around or has time, or pre-record something for us to kind of put in the
I
group.
can look into next week. We'll be he'll have some days off next week. We'll see what that looks like.
Because that would be
hopefully.
so cool if he could just explain
Yeah.
it to us. Because like Tatiana was said, it's a mindset shift. It is.
It is.
And I think that when you're on this side of it and you haven't quite made that transition, viewing it from somebody who has,
Yeah.
and it kind of opens doors. It makes it more accessible almost, because you see that other people that you can trust because they've done it successfully, and how, you know, how they engage on the platform, what works and what doesn't, would probably quell a lot of fears. It would for me, you know, because last thing you want to do is go on there and make an idiot out of yourself. But I realize that may happen, you know,
Yeah.
and not everybody's going to like what I post. There are always going to be people who are haters, right? And you have to be comfortable with that part of it too. It does leave you much more exposed because of their algorithm than Facebook does. Like, the amount I'm seeing this, the amount of pushback from people who don't believe the same things, is huge. And I think I've kind of learned from people's responses, you know, how to broach that and how not to. And watching the engagement between the creators and the comments the past week and a half has been really interesting to me. And it makes it very clear that TikTok's algorithm works nothing like these other platforms. So yeah.
Sure.
Well, I kept you a little late today. Sorry, we were talking about a lot of stuff, but I will see some of you again Tuesday, the rest of you Thursday. Tatiana, I would love to kind of catch up with you at some point and just talk through how the business aspect of this works. This is sort of our free time that we give away every week for the people in the small business marketing group, but there is a business attached to this with personal coaching and training for all of these other things. And I would love to just walk you through what we do, and then just leave it up to you, you know, where you feel you fit in with this. Because some people are happy in the small business marketing group. Some people really feel they need the time that we provide for them in the VIP group. So am I friends with you on Facebook? I'm not sure. I know you're in the group.
Probably not.
Okay.
I'm in the group now, yeah.
So I'll find you on there and just shoot you a message. It'll be from Maggie Chang. And then we can find a time to kind of chat. And then, you know, maybe you could come in as a guest on our VIP next week and kind of get a feel for how it works, and some of the other things that we have available. I can walk you through. So
Hope, I sent you a sample
be
really
great.
quick to your messenger before we get cut off. It's just what it would look like if you did it through Facebook, and it's under, if you got a message from Jill John, that would be mine. And so it's kind of like what you would put on your storyline and the question. And I just got a picture offline about some caramels, and then I threw in the question on top, and then you can add a little GIF picture or something. And then, so you can make it yours. And I did it all through the phone. So if you got that message, that one's for me, just so you know.
for Hope.
Yes, for Hope. That way she can kind of see it. Because again, the phone did it for me, but not online. I don't know why.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, hopefully I'll see you all Tuesday.
Thank you, ladies.
Yes. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.